Hi everyone. Today I'm here to talk about 4 books that you should read this month. So the first one is this book called Be Brilliant Every Day. All of these books are ones that I have read in January. It is now February, I know, but I think you should read it this month because I took away important things from each one. So for this one, what I took away from it was how to be happy and positive every day. And the way they explained it was by thinking of everyday experiences as small pieces of happiness. So for example, I would say my piece of happiness every day is when I have my breakfast and read a good book in the sunshine, in peace, by myself. I'm being nourished with the mind and the body at the same time every day. So that's my little piece of happiness, I would say. They also explain about how to change your mindset a little bit into thinking positively. So it depends on how you look at every situation. You can either look at it negatively or positively, and this book really drills it into you, into how to look at things more positively. Now luckily I'm one of those people who didn't need that much drilling, but it's good to be aware of how your brain automatically thinks towards the negative so that you can consciously make the effort to think more positively. So yeah, read this book. The second book I would recommend is this one, The 4-Pillar Plan, How to Relax, Eat, Move and Sleep. So this is really good because it focuses on 4 key areas of your life, and he explains how to improve each one in little different chapters. Now I found this really useful because I'm someone who's really interested in health and looking after myself the best way I can. So when it comes to relaxing, for example, he'll give so many different options on how you can incorporate that into your daily life, and the best part is you don't have to do all of them. As long as you incorporate, let's say, 2 of them, then at least that's some sort of improvement. And the same goes for eating, moving and sleeping. He breaks it down into different tiny manageable points that you can incorporate into your daily lives, and it will make a significant change and improvement. So I recommend this. Oh, and also he does kind of open your eyes into how our body clock works, and for that reason it has made me want to change my sleeping pattern a bit. Yeah, so yeah, this is really good. Although I will say one thing, he has a chapter in eating about denormalizing sugar, and while I think that it's good to reduce the amount of processed foods in your diet so that you're overall going to be a more healthy individual, he says at some point to cut out sugar completely, and I was like, how is that a balanced diet? You can't have a balanced diet if you cut out something completely. I don't know, I disagree with some of the things he says in the Eat chapter, but you know, read it and make of it what you will, but I wouldn't say try to follow it like a Bible, because sometimes I disagree with this guy, especially when it comes to cutting out things. He explains food in terms of good and bad. Now, obviously there are foods that are better for you than others, but you should never categorize food as good and bad, because then you'll have negative labeling in your mind, and that will make you think of some food as the enemy, and then you'll just be afraid of those foods, and then your relationship with food will become messed up. So in some senses don't listen to him, but in other senses do. The third book I am suggesting that you read this month is this. It's called The Body Balanced Diet Plan. Now, I don't believe in going on diets. I think diets don't work. I've never been on a diet myself, but every time I read about it in articles or magazines or even books, I'm like, yeah, diets don't work because they're just restrictive and they're designed for a short period of time. What you need to do if you want to become healthier is change your lifestyle. that's how it works. You change your lifestyle by eating more healthier foods, not cutting out certain foods, but just reducing your intake of them and having them in moderation whilst increasing your intake of good foods. That's how you do it. Oh, and also trying to incorporate exercise as well. But you know, one step at a time. Now this book is good because it tells you about eating in a very mindful way. And I'm not just talking about, I know that this apple is good for me, so I'll eat it. I'm talking about what foods are good to eat with other foods so that they can fuel your digestion better, and what foods to avoid eating with other foods so that it doesn't cause constipation or acid reflux or anything like that. So I'm halfway through this book, and I'm not gonna lie, it has confused me a little bit because there are so many things that I used to do that I am now thinking, wow, am I really not supposed to do that? However, she did say if you've been eating these foods in combination for years and you haven't had any negative effects on your digestive system, then it's probably okay to continue eating these foods. But still, she says things like, try to avoid eating eggs with beans or eggs with certain other things. There's this checklist, and it says try to not eat, for example, eggs with, it says beans, cheese, fish, fruit, milk, meat or yogurt. And then there's this bit here that says try not to eat honey with boiling water. Now there may be a scientific reason behind this, which I googled just because I was curious, and it did make sense. However, later on in this book, in another chapter, she says in order to curb your hunger, if you have extreme hunger, so that you avoid overeating, you should have hot water with a bit of honey in it. I mean, come on. She literally says avoid it here, and then in another chapter, like, you tell me. This is part of the reason why I want you to read it, so you can tell me what you think of this book. I mean, it is helpful because it does tell you some things that other books don't tell you. There are a lot of guidelines. I wouldn't say that you have to stick to them because I'm reading it and some of it is just going, I wouldn't say in through one ear and out the other, but I would just say like, okay, good to know, but am I going to do this? I don't know. There is something that is actually very helpful here, and it tells you what body type that you have. And I don't mean like pear-shaped, apple-shaped, rectangle, no. I mean which type of digestive system you have. So in this science of Ayurveda, there are 3 body types, and that is Vata, Pitta and Kapha. Now I am predominantly Vata, which means that I should have more sweet, sour and salty foods in my diet in order to become a more balanced person. Pitta, for example, should have more sweet, astringent and bitter foods in order to be more balanced, and Kapha types should have more pungent, astringent and bitter foods. This will all be explained when you read the book, but what I really liked doing was this little dosha checklist thing where you can find out what dosha type you are. I gotta tell you, some of these things are so true. For example, because I'm a Vata predominantly, she says later on in the book how Vatas need to eat more slowly, enjoy their food, savor every mouthful and treat each mealtime like it's sacred. And for those of you who know me, I think you know that I already do that. I take ages to eat, like proper long, because I am savoring every mouthful, and I do treat every mealtime as if it's like a sacred thing. I just think that because we're nourishing ourselves, we need to really take care of how we nourish ourselves, and that's just not in the food that we eat, but also how we eat it. I would never walk and eat at the same time. Like that just disgusts me. I would hardly ever stand up and eat or stand up and drink unless forced to. For example, when you're eating canapes, you have to stand really, isn't it? So I think it's because I'm such a foodie that I actually take offense to when other people are showing such disrespect to their meal times, like scoffing down their sandwich while looking at their phone or rushing to eat whilst walking. Like, what are you doing? Sit down and eat and take your time and chew your food. Oh. Anyway, the next book is Nutrition for Dummies. Now, I think personally this is a very interesting book, mainly because I like science a lot. The nitty-gritty on a cellular level, it breaks down nutrition, this thing. It may not be of your interest, but for me, I'm like, ooh, this is so much fun. I am really enjoying reading about how food nourishes you. It says, learn to understand food labeling, tell the difference between facts and fads, and make the best food choices for you and your family. What could be more important than eating right? This is like a food guide. I really like it. It explains so much, and so far I am on the vitamin chapter. I'm trying to determine whether it's good to take vitamin supplements or is it enough to get it from your diet. You can find out by reading this book. I borrowed all of these books from the library because I can read them for free by just borrowing them from the library. So that's what I would recommend you do. If you like any of these books so much that you want to buy them, feel free. But I just thought I'd let you know these are the 4 books that I thought you should read this month. This is probably the most scientific one. So, you know, give it a go. But if you're really not interested in science, then I'm not saying you have to read all of it. But it's good for you to know. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and please let me know in the comments what you thought and if you're going to read any of them. Thanks for watching.